Angelina Jolie comes from a family of Hollywood royalty. Unfortunately, when it comes to her father, Jon Voight, he was more focused on succeeding as an actor rather than being a father figure. Angelina had such a rocky relationship with her father that she chose to drop his last name so she wouldn't have any connection to him. But what happened between Angie and Jon that forced her to sever the bond between father and daughter?
It's like when you have your father tell you that they're proud of you or that they love you, and you're playing together, and you're both acting in a thing, and you're playing.
Don't forget to subscribe to Rumour Juice. We have everything you need to know about your favorite Hollywood celebs. In order to find out what happened between Angelina and her father, we have to go back quite a few years. It all began when Jon Voight, who, despite being married to Jolie's mother, Marcheline Bertrand, had an affair. Angelina was just a baby, and her brother was not much older than her when Jon decided to divorce Marcheline. She was left to take care of their two young children and forced to give up on her career as an actress. Not only did Jon divorce Marcheline, but he also abandoned his responsibilities as a father. Angelina grew up without a father, watching her mother in distress and anguish as she struggled as a single parent with no support system. As a child, Jolie also witnessed her father mentally abuse her mother, and she felt helpless. It was perhaps then that young Angie's heart began to fill with hatred towards her father. Jolie had an incredibly tough time growing up without her father. It was also alleged that Voight had refused to pay child support. And with Marcheline raising two young children on her own, the family struggled financially.
She didn't have much of her own career, her own life, her own experiences, her own, everything was for her children.
Going through her teens, Jolie had gotten involved with illegal substances, had bouts of depression, and even suicidal thoughts. Like any teenager, she struggled with her identity, and coming from a broken family didn't help. Going back and forth between parents didn't make things any easier either. As Angelina grew up, her relationship with her father became more strained. She was no longer a young child who didn't understand why her father left. She understood that he had betrayed her mother and abandoned them for his career, and with that understanding came anger and resentment. However, there was one thing that Angelina had in common with Jon, and it was a passion for acting. The actress chose to follow in her father's footprints into Hollywood, and soon her own career was blossoming. At the same time, Voight, being such a big star, meant that it was perhaps easier for Jolie to catch a break, but also harder to shake her dad's shadow. I did not want to be Voight as an actress because people would react to the name. I didn't feel that close to my father. I felt more of my mother's daughter when I was a child. So that was one part of it, Angelina said when she was asked why she chose to change her last name. However, Voight regularly sang his up-and-coming actress daughter's praises in his own interviews, calling her a great talent. When it came to how the actress felt about following the same path as her father, she simply said, "I think it's probably healthy not to put too much thought into that." As Angelina's career soared and she bagged an Oscar win for her role in Girl Interrupted, she rose to a level of fame that surpassed her father's. Jon even acknowledged that his daughter had to deal with fame in a way that he never had to.
Yeah, she's really remarkable. She's got her own thing, and she's got her own way of dealing with things,
When she was exuding sex appeal, wearing her passions on her sleeve, and being mistakenly characterized as either deranged or depressive. However, the actress admitted that she did fall into a depression after working on the movie Gia, which took a heavy toll on her. On the other hand, the overwhelmingly positive feedback she received following the movie premiere helped her come out of the dark hole she had sunk into. People do always think that because I have tattoos, I'm bad, or that there's something very dark about me, or that I think about death. I've kind of discovered that if I think about death much more than some people have, it's probably because I love life more than those people, Angelina confessed to Rolling Stone. For a while, things between Jon and Angie seemed civil, and they even co-starred as father and daughter in Lara Croft's Tomb Raider in 2001.
Take her guns out and flip them in the air and throws them into the holster. Whoa! Doesn't anybody realize how unbelievable is it?
But something went terribly wrong over the next year. Because in 2002, Voight infamously told Access Hollywood that his daughter had mental problems and needed help. That very same day, he told E! News Live that when he saw her earlier that year at Paramount's 90th anniversary party, I ran to give her a hug, and one of her representatives stepped in my way and said, "Get back. She's been staying away from me because she knows I've been trying to reach her to get help." The actor also added that she was suffering from serious emotional problems that I have witnessed very closely. Her love life had also turned into a frenzy that the press couldn't resist. When Angelina fell in love, she fell hard. She seemed dangerously in love with both of her husbands, wearing a shirt with the groom's name written on it in her blood when she married Jonny Lee Miller, and then sleeping under the framed words, "To the end of time," also written in her blood when she was married to Billy Bob Thornton. She and Thornton also had 2 framed drawings and poems about their relationship written by Voight in their living room. In 2002, Voight reportedly announced to the world at the pre-Oscars party how excited he was about being a grandfather.
So Christmas, what do you do for Christmas?
Well, I'm family. Christmas is family, so I have lots of family. I'm hoping to see my grandchildren, hoping to see my grandnieces and nephews and be with them and making the plans now.
Angelina Jolie and her then-husband Billy Bob Thornton were going to adopt their son Maddox from Cambodia and were keeping the news under wraps. Unfortunately, things didn't work out for Billy Bob and Angelina. However, she did decide to go through with the adoption on her own.
I talked to her about this country, and I talked to her about wanting to be the mother of a Cambodian child. And
following her divorce from Thornton in 2003, Angelina shared in a statement, "I don't want to make public the reasons for my bad relationship with my father. I will only say that like every child, James and I would have loved to have had a warm and loving relationship with our dad. After all these years, I have determined that it is not healthy for me to be around my father, especially now that I am responsible for my own child." That September, she legally dropped Voight from her name, and they did not talk for another 5 years. It wasn't until the actress had to pick up the phone and share some terribly heartbreaking news with her father. In 2007, Marcheline Bertrand passed away following a painful battle with cancer, and it was Angelina that passed on the news to her father. Jolie had often spoke about how close she was with her mother. Although she wasn't the type to share her burdens with her, she had an immense amount of respect for her mother, often Marcheline for raising Angie and her brother all on her own. The two remained incredibly close until she tragically died at just the age of 58. The actress confessed, "My mom always made it clear that I was her friend, and that is a lesson on how to bring up my own children. If anybody ever tells me that I am a mother to them like my mom was to me, it will be a great compliment."
but there was something about her name was Marcheline, and everybody called her Marshmallow, as a joke, because she was just the softest, most gentle woman in the world.
However, despite the family's loss, it did not bring them closer together. In fact, even after Angelina's marriage to Brad Pitt and their fast-growing family, Voight hadn't met any of his grandchildren. It had been reported, however, that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's first biological child, Shiloh, was almost named Shiloh Baptist Voight, after Jolie's father. Despite Jolie's sweet gesture, the bond between Jolie and Voight did not improve.
One day maybe we'll sit down together and you can come interview me with her and we'll toss that stuff around.
2 days after grand twins, Knox and Vivian Jolie Pitt were born in France in 2008, Voight acknowledged that he hadn't yet spoken to his daughter, but he felt, like any father, it's the most exciting thing that a new soul is coming in. He wasn't sure when he was ever going to get to meet his newest grandchildren, but Voight admitted that if he was ever asked to come and meet them, he would find a way. Unfortunately, he had never been asked. Maybe it was finally being in a stable, long-term partnership with Brad and wanting her 6 kids to know their grandfather, combined with the fact that she was down to one parent, that eventually got Jolie thinking about reconciliation. Brad had also played a part in mending Angelina's relationship with her father. He had insisted that she make peace with her father after the death of her mother, and even asked her to do so for the sake of her children, if not herself. In mid-2010, she told Parade that she and her father were making efforts to repair their relationship. Voight showed up for the Hollywood premiere of her 2011 directorial debut, the Bosnian war drama In the Land of Blood and Honey. And at the end of the year, she told Marie-Claire that all wasn't perfect, but they were in each other's lives again. When asked about the reunion with her father, Angelina admitted, "He's met the kids, and they've met him, and I think that's important that they can do that. We're in each other's lives, but we don't, as a rule, discuss the past." Following the split from Brad and the ongoing custody battle, Voight shared to the press that something serious might have happened for Jolie to take such a huge step. Her father stayed in touch with Pitt even after the divorce. And while this was something that Angelina wasn't impressed with, she has remained on talking terms with her father. It's no doubt that Angelina and Voight have had one roller coaster of a relationship. But seeing how they both put their past behind them is a sign of hope. Angelina has also done a lot of growing up since her days of wearing a vial of blood around her neck. She's become an incredible mother and an environmentalist who would have surely made her mother proud. We only hope that with time, she and her father will only grow closer, and their family will remain united.